Greetings, fellow travelpreneurs, and welcome to another episode of the Travelpreneur Club, where I interview inspiring travelpreneurs from around the world and share with you their story of starting, launching, and growing their own location-independent business. Now let's get started. Today I feel honored to have Will Hatton with us. Will is the founder of the BrokeBackpacker.com, where he shares his adventurous travels around the world with his massive audience of venturesome wanderers via informative and creative blog posts with beautiful and captivating visuals. By travel hacking and budgeting, Will has traveled to countless countries over the last 8 years, with a focus on visiting the less touristy places such as Venezuela and Pakistan. He is now on a cross-land journey from the UK to Papua New Guinea, and he's currently joining us from Thailand. Will, welcome to the Travelpreneur Club, my friend.
Hey man, thanks very much for having me. That was one hell of an introduction. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So tell us a little more about yourself and fill in any of the details I may have missed.
Yeah, sure. So I've been traveling for 8 years, like you said, and originally I hit the road on a very, very tight budget, which basically means like no money. I was spending like $50 a week. I was sleeping rough. I was hitchhiking everywhere, which is great. Had a tent. I was cooking my own food, and it was fantastic. It was a great experience. Since then, I've kind of evolved my travel style a little bit. I did it for like 6 years and it was great, but eventually I kind of decided it was time to do something a bit different. So now I focus on going to countries which don't get many visitors, because I'm a big fan of mountains and I like to have mountains to myself. I don't want there to be anybody else there. So I go to places like Pakistan, Venezuela, Bhutan, Iran, and these countries are just beginning to open up and they're just amazing places to be, like very exciting places to be. So I'm kind of all about going to far out lands and having slightly insane adventures. Recently, me and my brother, we got a 35-year-old tuk-tuk and we drove it across India, which was insanely hard because it broke down like 10 times a day. But it was good. It was good fun.
And I'm sure you learned a lot about yourself and a lot about the country as well and the people during that travel.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think one of the reasons that I like to go to these countries and to hitchhike and to camp and to couch surf and to drive stupid vehicles around is it kind of forces you to interact with people. Mm-hmm. And when you're in these situations, people do just tend to come out of nowhere to help you out. And yeah, it's good. It kind of restores your faith in humanity a bit.
Absolutely. So I'm sure you already have an idea of what a travelpreneur is, but I'd like to give you our definition. So a travelpreneur is a traveling entrepreneur that believes in building location-independent businesses that allow them complete control and freedom over their lifestyle. So, Will, what do you do that makes you part of the Travelpreneur Club?
Well, I mean, for me, I've got my blog online, and that's been expanding more rapidly than I ever anticipated, to be completely honest with you. There's now about, I think there's 7 or 8 of us working behind the scenes on the BrokeBackpacker at the moment, and it is just expanding into a company which can afford to pay 3 or 4 people full-time wages. So it's doing really, really well. I think for me, I was just in a situation where I could not bear to work for somebody else, because the idea of making somebody else money, especially somebody who isn't necessarily as passionate as me, it just didn't ring true. So I wanted to do something for myself. I had a laptop. I had a whole 6 years experience of traveling around the world. It was a bit of a no-brainer, to be honest.
Sure. And actually, I mean, what I want to ask you, so I know you launched your blog back in, it was 2014, correct?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
What took you so long to finally realize that you could, monetize your travels? So 6 years in, you had that kind of aha moment. Take us to that moment and kind of explain a little more.
I think it wasn't so much an aha moment. It was more oh shit, like I am now 25. I have no CV whatsoever. I haven't worked for like any company that would give me a reference on paper. I've been working on farms and like construction sites in the Middle East, doing all kinds of just random stuff to earn money when I needed it. And I was like, okay, you need to either make this traveling lifestyle work for you and pay the bills, or you need to go home and get a job. And I just did not want to go home. So I decided what I was going to do was I was going to spend 6 months busting my ass to see if it was possible to make money out of being a travel blogger. And within 4 months, I was making an income. So wow, I was like, okay, I'm going to stick with this.
Because usually, from my experience and the people I know that do travel blogs, it takes lots of time. I'm talking at least a year to build the following, gain the traffic, get the word out there. So 4 months, that's very impressive.
Yeah, I think I was lucky, and I think it was twofold, really. Firstly, because there was already some established travel bloggers out there who I could reach out to and ask for advice. That helped. That helped a lot. And secondly, I clocked quite early on that it was all about having a unique selling point that there isn't much competition for. I'm the only travel blogger that's been to Venezuela. I'm the second travel blogger in the last 3 years to go to Pakistan. I'm one of a very few number of bloggers to go to Iran. It just means that if you've got content which is unique and which you don't have to compete with anybody else with on Google, you do well. So it's all about finding an angle which hasn't been exploited yet. I mean, a lot of the time bloggers ask me, oh, what should I do? And I always say, just don't do solo female travel, because it's not like everybody's tried to do it. So
Exactly, and it's a very competitive area, and so that's great that you found your niche, and you've done very well with that. So kind of take us back to when you first started traveling. What made you take the leap into traveling and to beginning this journey that has been 8 years now?
Okay, well, originally I was always supposed to join the Royal Marines, and that's what I've wanted to do like my whole life. But before I joined up, I decided, okay, I'm going to go and do a little bit of traveling and see if I like it. So I went to Costa Rica, and I decided to do a 3-week trek across the country. I thought, hey, this will be really, really good. Untouched jungle, start on one ocean, end on the other. Unfortunately, 3 days in, my leg got like really infected, and I spent the next day being like basically tripping out in the jungle and having a horrible time, being in a lot of pain in the pouring rain by myself. Managed to find a ranger station, got taken to a hospital, spent 2 weeks in the hospital, and they wanted to amputate my leg, which luckily they did not do.
Wow.
But anyway, I got sent back to the UK, and that was the end of the Royal Marines, because they wouldn't take me after that. Mm-hmm. So to be perfectly honest with you, I had a mental breakdown, saved a bit of money, and booked a one-way flight to India. And that was how the travels began.
Very cool. And during that trek, you did that trek solo?
Yeah.
That was.
It was ambitious.
I can, to say the least. And you were only at the time. You were what? Probably about 18 years old or so.
19.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it was stupid. It was stupid, to be perfectly honest with you. And like, I've had other incidences whilst trekking. One in Nepal about 4 years ago, where I definitely should have turned around whilst trying to do Frongla Pass, which is 5,500 meters. I was so sick that I was basically crawling up this mountain. And I definitely should have turned around, and I didn't. And I'm glad that I didn't. But on the other hand, if I was to do it again, I probably would turn around, because you get to a point where, like, if you do this kind of thing for a living, you get to a point where you start to realize there are limits. And if you get it wrong, you can end up dead. So,
Absolutely. No. Absolutely. So it sounds like you've always been an adventurer at heart. But kind of let's talk about a little more your start in entrepreneurship. When was like your first time that you realized that you were an entrepreneur and that you could make money off of your passions and off your skills and expertise?
To be honest, I've just always been interested in making money online. When I was a kid, when I was 12 years old, I was buying action figures from ebay.com, importing them to the UK and selling them on ebay.co.uk for like a 300% markup. So I'd always been doing shit like that. When I went to India, I bought like 30 kilos of leather satchels, took them back and sold them at festivals, and made like $5,000 in a weekend. Wow. So I think it's just a case of spotting little opportunities like that and learning from each one until you're ready to kind of tackle a bigger opportunity, which for me was my blog. But yeah, I'd always been interested in moving things around, to be honest. I'm very interested in drop shipping, and if I wasn't involved so heavily with my blog, I think that's something I'd be focusing on. Okay.
And for example, if you were to pick up drop shipping, what would be like your category, your niche that you think that you would want to go after, or you think you see the opportunity in?
Wow, I've done quite a lot of research into this actually, and everything I've read suggests that you are better off choosing a low-value item that you can sell thousands of. So I met a couple who are doing drop shipping at the moment, and they sell doorstops, but they sell like tens of thousands of them. Okay. They're the #1 doorstop seller on Amazon. So they make like, I think it was like $1.20 on a doorstop. And it's better to sell thousands of those than to sell 50 of a high-value product. So I'd probably look for something small that hasn't necessarily been oversaturated yet.
Okay. So it sounds like, from what I've heard so far, like you've always you've always not been afraid to take risks, and to try different things and to go to Costa Rica and hike from one coast to the other by yourself. As crazy that may sound to a lot of people, for you, it's kind of just a normal instinct. So what do you believe is the greatest factor holding people back from taking control of their lives, and taking a chance to do something that will actually make them happy?
I think for a lot of people, they see what their parents did and they see what their friends are doing and they see what popular culture says that they've got to do. And they kind of assume that this system is the correct one to be in because 99% of people are doing it. And it's a shame because I've got a lot of friends who are intelligent, wonderful people who are stuck in jobs they hate to try and pay off mortgages they don't want. And I think it is very easy to get trapped doing that if you don't kind of take the plunge. And the thing is, with traveling the world, it gives you an opportunity to work out what you're passionate about and work out a way to make money online. And to be honest, the internet has leveled the playing field. There are 1,000 ways to make money online using the internet. And if you don't like one, you can figure out another one. There's loads of ways to do it. So I think really anybody can do it. It's just a case of realizing that the life you can have by being location independent is so much better than being tied to one country and one job and one lifestyle the whole time.
Most definitely. So you said that you've built the Broke Backpacker from nothing into 4 months. You've actually been generating an income. So does the revenue generated now support the lifestyle that you want for yourself?
Yes, it does. I mean, I'm actually earning more than I need at the moment, which is great. I'm putting it all into a pot because the plan is to eventually open some hostels all across the world. So everything I make goes into the pot, and I'm able to. I still travel cheap. Like when I was in Pakistan, I think I spent $500 for a month there. Could have done it cheaper, but that was still cheap enough for me. But I mean, if I'm in somewhere like Thailand and I want to drink a fourth mojito, I'm not going to worry about how much it costs. I'm just going to order my fourth mojito.
Sure.
So I pretty much do whatever I want, but it's not like It's not like I'd ever fly business class or anything like that. I'm not loaded. Okay.
And in terms of your blog, what is what is the largest source of income for you? Is it sponsored trips? Is it sponsored posts? I mean, can you elaborate a little more on that?
Yeah, sure. I don't do sponsored trips. Basically, I think it's important that I only promote things which my viewers can afford, and the site is called the BrokeBackpacker. So why should I do a sponsored safari trip around South Africa? Sure, it'd be great fun for me, but it's completely irrelevant to my readers. So I'm just not interested in doing it. But one exception is I'm doing a sponsored trip to Bhutan because it's impossible to go to Bhutan unless you do it with a company. And I think it will be worth it for that occasion. Most of my income comes from various big companies which want to basically have my face to help promote their brand. I do a lot on Snapchat at the moment. I've started doing product placement on Snapchat for everything from I've got this really cool UV wand at the moment where you stick it in muddy water, swirl it around, and you can drink it. It's great. If you're trekking in the mountains, it's really good.
And you said that was called UV
So I'll give
wand?
a demonstration. It's called, you've put it on the spot now. What is it called? Shit. SteriPen. It's called SteriPen.
Okay, I'll link it up in the show notes as well. That sounds very interesting.
But my sponsors range in size from Red Bull and GoPro to Hostelworld, Berghaus, and lots of other smaller companies who are just interested in what I'm doing. Eventually, the plan is to build a boat in the Philippines and sail it to Papua New Guinea via Indonesia. That's a 6-month trip, and that hasn't been done before. So that was a really good way of me getting a lot of sponsors on board.
Sure, and I want to highlight not just a boat, but a boat made out of what? You have to explain a little further.
A boat made out of recycled materials is the plan.
So I think you're setting 2 new records right there.
Yeah, hopefully that's the plan. I mean, the way I see it, it'll either be amazing or it'll be over very quickly. Either way, it's going to be good. I'm hoping to have a drone, and they've recently released these drones that you can get, which will just follow you along.
Yep.
So I'm thinking of getting one of those and just getting it to follow the boat along. I think that'll make some really amazing footage.
I think so. That would be incredible. So you've been to a lot of countries over the last 8 years. I know travelers hate this question, but what has been your favorite country you visited thus far? And what made it stand out from the others?
I can't give one answer. I can give a multi-country answer.
Okay. If you have to.
my favorite country recently has been Pakistan, because the mountains are just better than anywhere else I've ever been. The people are really friendly. It's very, very cheap. I also loved Venezuela because it's just a little bit rough and ready. It keeps you on your toes. It's the cheapest country in the world. For $1, you can get 60 beers, and it's got Mount Roraima, which is the highest tabletop mountain in the world, and it's amazing. So, yeah, to be honest, it's basically countries and mountains. If I had to live in one place, I would choose Colombia. I think Colombia has got the best standard of living out of any country I've been to.
I 100% agree with you on that one. That's currently where I'm based from, and I'm going to be sad to leave when I have to leave in a few months and get kicked out of the country for my visa. But I'll always come back for sure.
Yeah, I feel your pain, man. I'm definitely planning on going back there at some point.
So I would consider you very successful so far in terms of building out the blog. I know you have a lot of things you still want to do and a lot on your plate. So, but thus far, what has been the greatest factor that's attributed to your success?
I think I've got a unique brand in that there isn't anybody else really going to these countries, and when people do go to these countries, they don't go to them like I do. So there have been some people that have been to countries like Pakistan, Afghanistan, but they've done it on organised tours, and fair play to them. If that's how you want to travel, that's okay. But I think if you travel independently, you're going to see a different side of the country, which is what I prefer and what my readers prefer as well. So I think having that unique kind of journey that I'm doing at the moment, where I'm going through so many countries that people know nothing about, and I knew nothing about Pakistan or Iran. I knew nothing whatsoever. Like I half expected there to be like guys with AKs firing into the sky. I really didn't know what to expect, and I was just like, yeah, let's go, let's hitchhike there, let's see what happens. And luckily, it was amazing. So yeah, sorry, I'm off track a little bit there. The second thing that I'm good at is I am very, very good at pitching to companies, and I think as an influencer online, you need to become very confident and very sure of yourself, and you need to be able to, one, demonstrate the value that you can bring to a brand's marketing awareness campaign, and two, you need to know what that's worth. Because a lot of people, when they get approached by companies like GoPro or Berghaus or Red Bull or whatever, they're like, oh my God, this huge company is interested in me. I'll do it for free. Why would you do it for free? These huge companies have got massive marketing budgets, and unless you're just doing the first one for free to get your foot in the door, it's important that influencers kind of realize their value and don't destroy the market. Because there are some people who do it for free. It means it's much harder for people who are trying to do it professionally.
Absolutely. So, we talked about briefly your Costa Rica trip when you first started traveling, but I'm sure,
yeah.
I mean, all these different countries you've been to, you travel very low to the ground, I would say. You're not traveling in luxury 5-star hotels. So, along with that type of travel, you go through a few more struggles, and it's a little more difficult. So, take us to a moment when you had a problem and how you overcame that adversity to arrive where you are today.
Oh man, so many problems. All right, a good one is when I was trekking in Nepal, I bought a little trekking pole from this guy, little hut halfway up the mountain. It was like a 2-week trek, and I needed a pole. Anyway, I bought this pole, and I walked about 100 meters away from his shop, and it just fell apart. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to take this back. So I took it back, and he was looking at it and making all these faces, and I was like, fuck this. So I just put it on the desk and took another one and went to walk out. And before I knew it, he had pulled the machete out from behind the desk and was charging at me. I had no fucking idea what to do in this situation. So I kind of brought the pole up like this. My friend ran in and kind of separated us, and luckily nothing else happened. But that's been one of those occasions where afterwards I was like, fuck this, why am I in this country? I just nearly got beheaded after a shopkeeper sold me faulty goods. This is just ridiculous. This would not happen in England, damn it. And I think a lot of the time when I've been hitchhiking, once I was stuck for 27 hours in the snow, it was cold and nobody stopped. That was pretty shit. When you have moments like that, it is just like, why am I doing this? The bus was €3. What am I trying to prove? But eventually somebody does stop, and then it's all worth it.
And in those moments, what did you learn about yourself in terms of like, whether being a traveler or just making yourself a better man? What did you learn in those moments?
I mean, I'm pretty good at being an optimist, but when I get in a bad mood, like I'm a shit, and even I don't like being around me. So I think being on the side of the road and having these challenges thrown at me, it presents you an opportunity to get better at being out of your comfort zone. And I think that in business or in life or in anything else, the more you can push yourself to be out of your comfort zone and to be able to handle it, the better you're going to be able to function in general. So that is kind of why I do what I do. I like doing nutty things I'm not totally convinced I'll be able to pull off, because then when I do pull them off, it improves my confidence and it improves how I feel about other curveball challenges I might not be expecting.
Absolutely. So for this year that we're currently in the upcoming year, what is your number one goal, and how do you plan to accomplish it?
Well, at the moment, I'm really trying to figure out how to get a motorbike in Pakistan. And the paperwork is it's complicated. Getting into Pakistan anyway is a nightmare. The visas are tough. But I've got my visa, and now I want to get a motorbike and try and drive it all along the traditional Silk Road, possibly up into China and down through Tibet. So that would be amazing if I can do that. So that's probably the number one challenge at the moment. Besides that, I just want to keep the blog rolling. I mean, I've got a couple of top secret projects in the works, which I cannot talk about.
Okay.
But hopefully they will project me to Snapchat stardom, which is something that 6 months ago I would have been like, why the fuck do you want to be on Snapchat? But now I see that even if I don't get on Snapchat, I'm going to be missing out.
Yeah.
So hopefully that will help.
It's definitely a huge platform, and I think the biggest thing with Snapchat is that people are choosing to engage with your content. They're actually, submersing themselves in it. They're not scrolling through a feed. It's very their attention. It's all about the attention. So their attention is there, and it's. I think that's a great perspective that you're getting in that now, because it's going to be huge.
Yeah, to be perfectly honest with you, I predict that these Snapchat channels in Discover Bar are probably going to take over normal TV. This is what I think is going to happen, and there's a lot of other people who think that's going to happen as well.
I agree.
I want to be there.
No, it's the new age television, honestly.
Yeah, definitely.
So the Travelpreneur Club is made up of both aspiring and established travelpreneurs. What is one of your favorite books that you believe would really resonate with the audience?
The Lost City of Zed, which is a book which has been put together from fragments of diary from the legendary Victorian explorer.
Can you repeat the title again? I think we kind of lost a connection there.
The Lost City of Zed.
The Lost City of
Zed. Zed the
okay.
Zebra.
Got it.
Yeah. Basically, it's about this ancient city that is supposed to exist in the jungles of South America somewhere, and it's about one of the last Victorian age British explorers who spent his entire life, 70 years, looking for it in the jungle, and it's great. I mean, if you want to read a book about passion and endurance and suffering for your passion, this is the book you should read.
And along the lines of that as well, a book I read a few years ago, kind of when I got interested in South America. It's called The River of Doubt. It's about Teddy Roosevelt's journey into the Amazon jungle to be one of the first to basically row the entire Amazon River.
Oh, cool.
So you have to check out that. That's right up your alley as well. It's not. I can see you in that role.
Why not? That'd be great fun. If I got to choose one role that I could portray, it would probably be Teddy Roosevelt. He's a pretty cool guy.
Most definitely. So I wanted to thank you again. We've been going back and forth now for a few months because I know you've been having trouble with the internet connection. You've been out of touch with reality for a while, but we're actually more in touch with reality. You're actually immersing yourself in these countries and these cultures, which is awesome, I think. But away from internet connection, phone connection. So I just wanted to thank you again for your time and for sitting down with me to chat and to share your story.
No, man, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure. I think the show that you're doing is great. I think it's a great idea for trying to bring travelers and entrepreneurs together. And ultimately, if you want to be a long-term traveler, you've got to be an entrepreneur. Really.
Absolutely. So my fellow travelpreneurs, I highly recommend heading over to thebrokebackpacker.com. You can follow Will along his journey. Right now, he's currently in Thailand, making his way to Papua New Guinea. Who knows when he'll arrive there, but he's making his way slowly but surely. Definitely a Snapchat as well. You want to throw out your Snapchat handle so they can follow that?
It's WTHATTON, which I know is a pain in the ass. If you just go on my site, there's a big yellow add me on Snapchat picture. Just go there.
There we go. And I'll link that up as well, as long as your social media accounts. So yeah, go check out his website. You can dive into some of his content. He's got a lot of great articles as well. So Will, before we let you go though, please share with us one parting piece of wisdom for all the aspiring travelpreneurs out there and how we can connect with you, and then we'll say goodbye.
Yeah, sure. I think the main thing I wish somebody had told me when I was younger is that if you don't have the money to fund your dreams, just kind of go for it anyway. Like for me, it was traveling without any money. I just made it happen, and it was very much hand to mouth, but it was a learning experience. So don't put off what you want to do. Like if you want to do something, don't think, I've got a mortgage to pay, I've got a job. You know, if you're really, really passionate about something, like truly passionate about something, you owe it to yourself to give it a go. So those are my parting words of wisdom.
And what's the best way to connect with you?
Facebook. I'm just on Facebook at the BrokeBackpacker. So just find me on Facebook. If you've got any questions, send me a message.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you again, Will. Safe travels, and we'll see you soon.
Cheers, Drew. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. It would mean the world to me if you would subscribe below and share this video with a friend that you think it would help. If you'd like this interview in audio format, you can click above right there to subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher. And don't forget to head on over to thetravelpreneurclub.com for more inspirational content that'll help you begin your journey as a travelpreneur. Until next time, take care, my friends.